You're listening to the Miracles in Meat podcast. I'm Shane Thibodaux, a fourth-generation butcher at one of the oldest meat markets in the world. My great-grandfather started this business by slaughtering one cow or pig at a time and selling the cuts door-to-door on horse and buggy. Today, our products are enjoyed across the globe. I will attempt to give you some insight as to how we got here and explore the challenges we've had along the way. At Bourgeois, our mission is to preserve our heritage generation after generation through legendary Cajun flavors and the development of relationships, not customers. Since 1891, Bourgeois has maintained age-old culinary traditions that fuel the South Louisiana lifestyle. Over the past 133 years, our Cajun products have gained global recognition, and for tens of thousands of folks around the world, the Bourgeois Cajun Lady logo is a symbol of home. Today, the fourth-generation butchers sit at the 9-foot maple block with loyal customers to discuss the adventures, skills, and passions that guide each of their legacies. These conversations will become priceless resources for future generations of any industry. This is our way of maintaining the spirit, purpose, and traditions of our lost arts in a world of change. 133 years, 4 generations. We're just getting started. Hey there, here we go. Episode number 1, or uno, if you are tuning in from Texas or further southwest. This podcast has been something I've been putting off for a long time now, at least a couple and a half months or 3, and I finally just kind of threw myself into the fire and got really uncomfortable. But that's what I needed. I don't have a clue what I'm doing yet, but my curiosity often leads me into these uncomfortable situations, and I kind of just learned to love this learning process, and that's what this is about. It's about learning. I figured the best place to start would be with the third-generation owner, my uncle, Donald Bourgeois. I've learned so much from him over the years, and I really think we'd be doing our future generations a huge disservice if we couldn't provide them with as much wisdom as we can from this old breed. So here it is, Donald Bourgeois. So if you ask me why I was doing this or why I felt like I needed to do it, before you ask that, I would ask you, why did y'all build Super Kite? That's how I would answer your question. If you were to ask me why I'm doing this, I would say, okay, well, why did you build Super Kite? That's what I would ask. So let's start with Super Kite and I'm just going to ask what it is. I know a little bit about it, but
yeah,
no one else does.
Yeah, Super Kite, this is not, everybody's got a different recollection of it, and my memory's not the best, but best I can remember, it was me and Andy, my cousin Andy's idea. And then, the brothers kind of joined in and jumped in with us, and, they were older and a lot more, had more knowledge and engineering, with his big brother Jimmy. And like I said, I could be very wrong about this, but my idea was I just wanted to build we used to fly kites. we used to build our own kites, and it was fun, usually just the spring. It wasn't something we did year round, but it's funny. It's just the spring months, April or so, May. We'd, a lot of time, we were a big family. You didn't have a Walmart on every other corner or, shopping center. So we built our own, and that, Daddy showed us how kind of, the first couple of them. And then from there we'd build our own. But we just wanted to build a really, really big one.
Why? Why? Who needed it bigger?
I just don't know.
And was
we just wanted to build a big kite.
Was Papa behind any of that? Was he egging it on?
Not that I can remember. Like I said, I was pretty young. I'd say young. I was in high school. I can vividly remember getting the paper we used to build the surface of it. The paper and all we got from a lot of it from high school. From one of our teachers. They had it there and it wasn't doing anything. So we used, I remember the red and blue stripe, we got that from the school. And I think the white, we might have got Biff was working at the time. I think we might have got that there at Vita Paint.
And in terms of dimensions, what was the goal? And then what was the outcome?
Just 25 foot. It was an easy number, And I think the width is supposed to be a third of the height, I think. So, so basically about an 8.5 foot width. Total, I think, best I can, or maybe, it's been a while.
25 feet long.
I'm trying to remember the width of it. But Daddy helped us with the bridle. I remember that. That was a big concern, bridle and tail. And that's where Jimmy came in with he was at LSU at the time working on his engineering degree. So he definitely had some help with that because I mean think about a little 2.5-foot kite that you build and it needs about a darn near 10-foot tail, 8 to 10-foot tail. So start doing the math on a times 10, So yeah, I think we end up with 150 feet of tail on it.
And everyone was nervous, or no? Was no one nervous? Everyone was just excited.
Yeah, we were just excited. We just wanted to see it fly,
knowing that someone would break an arm.
No, we never thought that. It's a shame. The darn thing flew, and it flew really good. It's just, I was on the kite end. Me and Andy, I guess because we had so much to do with it. We were holding the kite. We were the actual ones that started running with it as it lifted. We held the bottom end down until we couldn't anymore and ran with it.
And what's pulling it?
Truck.
A truck.
Yeah, we had it. And something happened in the truck. There's a lot of issues about the truck, and they had it. Apparently, they did not fasten it. I don't know why they didn't just tie it to a hitch or whatever. They didn't. I don't know why. I think they maybe wanted to put out more line in case they needed to. So they had it to where they could release and it would. But from what I understand, they had the old trucks. They had the I don't know what they call it. Those the hole wells in the sides of the beds, and they had a pipe in there, and they made some wraps with it around that pipe. Well, what happened? I don't know why they didn't think of this, but the pipe started spinning. Because it wasn't anchored.
They had
the pipe
a drag
wasn't anchored.
system on it.
Yeah, but they didn't think. They thought they could the pipe was just going to stay there and not spin.
Right.
And they could release line if they needed to after you spun it around there about 4, 5, 6 times, you could, loosen it a little bit, but they didn't take into effect that it would spin. So what happened, it started doing that and they panicked at the truck. And so the kite it was up pretty high. The tail was off the ground. So it was up 150 feet at least. And
how many people there to watch?
Mostly just a bunch of our family. We had a lot of cousins,
So that could be 50 to 100 people.
Yeah, easy 50. Yeah, I'd say no less than 50. Yeah. And we got it on video. We have some old video of it. But so what ended up happening, and like I said, I wasn't in the truck, but so when that's happening, somebody maybe got thrown out the truck, broke their arm, and the kite started falling. So I think they finally made a wrap around the hitch.
To save it.
Yeah, and Daddy panicked and gunned it.
To get it back up in the air.
To get it back up in the air. And he panicked and he hit it too darn hard and fast. And it couldn't take the pressure of being pulled that fast. Such a big kite.
Wow.
You can't fly a kite that big and 15, 20
Only
mile
if y'all
an hour
had an
winds.
engineer on deck. Well, good.
We'd have flown it more than once. If that incident wouldn't have happened, I was convinced we would have flown it and flown it again,
Well,
so it didn't stay in the air very long. It stayed a while, and it went straight. I mean, it flew. It was amazing how steady it was. You think a kite would, especially handmade ones, they kind of rocked back and forth and kind of erratic. This thing just went straight up, just as pretty as could be. And I was convinced it was going to fly. Or it did fly, but I mean, I was convinced it would have stayed up if they could have got it up above the trees a little more. I think
above the trees. Yeah. That's got to be the goal
to get that steady breeze. Where it's not sporadic. But it was pretty.
I'm sure there's much more to that story, and I'd like to get a couple other people involved.
Absolutely. Everybody's got a different version of that story.
We'll come back to that
John,
one day.
John, I don't know if I remember John being there. I'm sure he was, but
might have been in a car seat.
He might have not been there. John B. might have been off with his buddies or something. I'm not sure. No, he wasn't that little.
Well, we'll get another crew together and we'll get that whole story out.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
We'll get artifacts and things and make plans for the next one.
Now, they did another one, Super Kite 2. I was not involved with that one at all.
And it flew?
No.
Okay, good.
No, they never even stood it up, I don't think.
Because our generation has plans for Super Kite 3, and we're going to do 50 foot. So we'll come back to that one day.
Can I give you advice on that?
Yes.
This is just my advice.
Of course.
You know what? 30 foot's bigger than 25.
Okay. It's fair.
I just don't think
That's
structurally flat. You know what I'm talking about? Now, maybe a box kite, 50 feet. But
a flat kite.
A flat kite like that, I don't know the term they use for a flat kite, but to me personally, a box kite's, it's cheating, but that's just me. I think if you want to beat us, it has to be a flat surface kite, and 30 foot is doable.
That's fair. We'll bring it up to the board.
The 25 was very doable, and the construction materials now are a lot better than what we had to work with. So 30 foot
a lot more expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you make a lot more money than I did.
Right.
You don't. I got to remind you, I made $1.50 for a half a day's work working in the fields for
and
Purple.
that's just not enough.
In fact, Mr. Junior, I saw him on the outside coming over here, Junior Perkle. His brothers, actually, I worked for Wilbert and LJ. They shallot farmers. Yeah. 6 a.m. till 11, you got $1.50. And then in the evenings, you come back at 4. We meet about 3. So we get started about 4 probably and work till dark. And that was $1.50. And that was our summertime job. Well, probably about 11 years old, we started doing that.
So think about this. You spent your whole career here. And now that you're retired, you're back to doing what you started off doing, which is farming.
That's a good point. Never thought about that.
And no one's paying you.
Well, I mean, I get food.
You get enjoyment out of it, right?
I get a lot of satisfaction. It's
some good exercise.
It's at this age, you need to keep moving for one thing. But I mean, yeah, to do something and not get satisfaction or just it's nice to be able to work your butt off like you do in a garden and you reap rewards from it. In any job I think you need to reap some type of reward, whether it's personal or something, some type of gives you some type of joy inside. And yeah. And it's double for me because I like to work hard and I like to garden and then I get to eat what I grow. So that's like double for me. I really like that.
We talked about the family, a typical family gathering consisting of 50 to 100 people.
Absolutely.
So you were raised one of 7.
Yes.
Tell me all about that as it pertains to the business. So I maybe earliest memories,
of the market.
Walking over here, all of that. Yeah.
My best, I guess I have memories before, but what I remember, we all had chores to do. We all had a chore on Saturday, especially. Saturday mornings, Mama didn't want us being lazy, and Daddy too. So my chore on Saturday mornings was to come out here, and I had to clean up the parking lot. I had to rake any, trash, pick up anything like that, and then sweep the front area where the customers came in. So that was kind of, probably about when I was older. And back then, it wasn't nearly as much traffic on the road as you have now. It was a 2-lane road in front. So probably about 7 years old. 8 years old, probably. I was coming across and starting to do that. And John, I don't remember what their chores were, but we all had something like that. But that's probably my earliest memory. But I used to love coming here. Mr. Cleve and back then Raymond Jackson worked for us, and they were both, as far as I know, they were raised on Johnson Ridge. I know that's where they lived at the time for sure. But yeah, they were just great mentors for me. Really, really just funny. Really loved what they did, and instilled that love in me, I think, those two guys.
You looked up to those guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They were real men. They were tough. The customers loved them. They had a way with people. They really had a special gift with people. And I picked up on that,
Mm-hmm.
And they were really good to me. I mean, just, they didn't have to be, but they treated me with a lot of dignity and respect and just, they made me feel like a little man kind of at times. That was special for a little boy,
I talk about that a lot with our guys, our managers and the guys that have been here for 10 years on what kind of impact they put on these high school 16-year-olds that are going to work back there for the summer. And I don't think they understand the impact over 20 years. You take that kid and he's now 30 and he's got kids. I guarantee you he's going to pull some cards that you threw to him, on the boot end table in the back. And I don't think they do realize that. I realize it because I had the same experience. I was here with Calvin and Chris and Miss Karen and Jenny, and I looked up to all of them. And I think it's powerful.
I had some great workers. I really did, man. I loved them. Loved every one of them in their own special way. They were all great. They really were.
So you worked for Pawpaw fairly young age, but when did it get serious?
From high school, probably. Going into college. I mean, college. I loved high school. I had a blast in high school. I had fun. College was tough. Didn't like it. Never liked it. Feel like I struggled going there. But my first 3 semesters, some of these college kids look at me like I'm nuts. But I took 21 hours, and I worked. I worked 40, 50, probably closer to 50 hours a week with the 21 hours at school. They think I was nuts doing that, but that's just how we were raised. I didn't know any other way. But yeah, it was just times are different.
And what was your major?
Business.
Specifically for this?
No. This is, y'all probably gonna laugh at me. But the reason why I picked business, my poor mama was a English teacher for many, many years. And she used to try to help me with my English in high school and all. And I just never could get it too good. I was really bad in English. And that's how I picked my major. That's how I picked my major. It had the fewest Englishes. I BS you not. I BS you not. It had the fewest Englishes of all the curriculums that I was somewhat interested in.
I wonder if they still get asked that question.
That's the only reason. Well, back then you could see what classes you had to take. I guess they still do that now in each curriculum. So there was a handbook. Now I'm sure it's on the computer, but I went through the handbook and I'm telling you, I searched. I found all of them that had the fewest Englishes, and business was the only one that I felt a little bit interested in. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna try this one. But that being said, I made up my mind I was going to get a degree because my oldest brother, Biff, brilliant, went to school. My sister, Nancy, same thing, went to college. And both of them were within 1 or 2 semesters of finishing and dropped out. So I made up my mind I was going to get a degree. I didn't care what it was in, So that's why, one of the reasons why I picked that one. I wanted to make sure I got the degree, And I did make it. I mean, and of course, I did have one of my Englishes. I squeaked by, and I made a D.
Good,
but
you tried.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So Nichols is known for business school.
Yeah. You know why it's called Harvard on the Bayou?
Tell me.
Do you know?
No.
So the same Harvard Business School is accredited by the same accreditation, whatever, that Nichols is.
Okay. No, didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why. So I mean, it's. I don't know if it's true, but supposedly it's equivalent to their degree. Of course, people don't know that, but I mean, if it's accredited by the same accreditation council or however they do that stuff.
So, going through it, having been through it, what did it not prepare you for? What's the course you would add to a Nichols business degree?
I had one professor and actually, it might have been an elective I took. I don't remember if it was an elective or if I had to take it. It was a night class. I had a guy from, the instructor was from Baton Rouge. He'd come in once a week to teach this. It was on real estate. And he was a businessman. And he just did this on the side. Best instructor I ever had. I wished that perhaps some of these instructors had some business back, actual, because you could teach it from a book, but man, until you live it, you know what I mean? And it costs your pocket, especially if you're an entrepreneur a little bit. If you make a mistake, it costs you.
The decision-making part of
And you can't teach that probably. You can't teach it. I think it's ingrained. Some people are more risky, just take more risks than others. But being a business or entrepreneur, it's risky, and you got to be willing to take them. Some people are not, some are. So I don't think you can teach that, for whatever reason, And I've owned several businesses over the years, I dabbled in several different things, but.
You remember the name of that professor?
I cannot. He was good though, man. He didn't just teach real estate. He taught real life. He had some really good examples. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're going to buy it for this, but what about this cost, that cost, this cost? And that's little things that you don't think.
And for him, that was fun.
Yeah, I think he enjoyed that class. I know I did. I know that what really caught my attention on that class, and that's why I ended up doing some real estate things in my entrepreneurial life, I guess if you want to call it that. One of the first things he said in class really caught my attention. He said, let me see if I can word this right. The number one investment that you can make in the whole country, if you take all other investments combined and wherever you want to put your money, whatever business, whatever you want to be in, he says, real estate investment is combined beats them all. Like if you put them all together, your investment return on it is bigger than any of them. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it right. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it really caught my attention. It was, yeah. So that's why I always wanted to own land or buy land, real estate.
It is risky.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a stock market scares me to death,
You can do it with a high or low degree of risk.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You got to do your homework. You got to do your homework, and it's a long term. And I've learned that. Unfortunately, I made errors with it. I've bought stuff and got rid of it too soon. I was young and wanting to make money fast. But real estate is not that. It's usually you got to buy it and wait. Time pays off in real estate, and be patient, very patient.
What do you think's happening to Thibodaux in terms of real estate? Man,
I'm out the loop on that now. I used to really, I was big. I used to love, keeping track of all that stuff, housing, and just anything went for sale. I'd research it and look at it and, seeing if it's a good deal, blah, blah, blah. But I'm out the loop on it. Now, what I do look at still a little bit is, so I've got some property in Mississippi, woodland, hunting land and stuff, but trees. And I didn't realize when I bought it, the first piece I bought 12, 15 years ago, how good of an investment it is. And so I keep track of that a little bit in my area where I'm at up in Mississippi. Just whenever stuff goes for sale, I'll check it out just to keep track of, get an idea what mine's worth. And, but yeah, timber's a good investment, man. It's a long term, very long term, but it's a good investment, not a bad investment.
All right. Speaking of taking risks, how old were you when you made some beef jerky for a salesman?
Okay.
Sort of behind Papa's back. Maybe he was on vacation.
Yeah.
And you made a guy some beef jerky and he loved it and he came back for more and he came back for more and he came back for more. What happened when Papa left for vacation? Why'd you take the risk?
So I had been making it sporadically. I played a lot of softball, adult softball on weekends with my buddies and all. We had pretty good teams over the years. And I'm pretty sure I was still in college and he was just one of those customers. Mr. Chickbro, God rest his soul. Great, loved him to death. His son, Nini, is still with us, thank goodness. He's not that old. He's a little older than me. So he's a good guy. I mean, he's a chip off the old block, But Mr. Chick, he was an all-field salesman, more or less, and just one of those people you couldn't tell. He just wouldn't take no for an answer. But he was a good customer too. He bought a lot of smoked sausage and He did a lot of cooking for his company that he worked for, and he did a lot of entertaining. So he would do he'd come get, it wasn't nothing for him to come get 100, 150 pounds of smoked sausage and, jambalayas and God knows what all he did with it. Andouille, he'd buy a lot of that, fresh sausage, stuff like that, barbecuing and all. But yeah, he was a good customer. Daddy knew him well. And like I said, I knew Daddy liked him. That helped a lot for me starting to make it. They had a good relationship. So yeah, Daddy's on vacation. He's
Grand Isle.
Nope. Every so often, him and Mom, they had a group of friends that they would go with to Las Vegas.
Okay.
And of all times of year, he did this. This is the first time he probably ever did this because it's a busy time of year. It was for Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. And Mr. Chick was in there probably the Friday after Thanksgiving. Might have been the Wednesday. I think it was the Friday after. And I'd made some for my buddies for the weekend. And he had tasted it a couple of times before. And man, when it comes out the smokehouse in the afternoons, you could smell it. And and he was, like I said, he was like family almost,
So at this point, you already had what you would consider is the way you wanted it when this happened? Or were you still playing around?
I mean, I was making it the same way, pretty much
Same
making
way.
it now. A little different cuts of meat, different.
But every
I
time,
experimented with the different cuts of meat, which doesn't really matter that much, unless you don't like chewing. It just depends. There were more tender pieces that I've used over the years.
seasoning was basically the same.
Yeah, the same as what we're doing now.
It looked the same.
Well, we did it different. So now I designed those sticks, by the way, with the nails that y'all use that I know y'all love. Trust me, y'all would love what y'all got now compared to what we
Explain the stick. Explain the stick for someone who doesn't understand this.
Well, do we want to give away that information?
It's all over.
Okay.
It's all over.
Daddy was very secretive about everything he did. He did not want anybody.
Well, the people come over from the Philippines and they want to see stuff like this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no one can replicate it. So,
but anyway, yeah, it's just basically stainless nails that I found at a boat shop that builds wooden boats, and you basically you have to drill holes in aluminum angle iron, and you got to get the right size bit where it's a press fit. Basically, you have to don't drive them into the hole. And I actually take them, and the nails are too long. I can't find short enough ones, so we actually cut them. It's a lot of work to make them. It takes a lot of work to make them. But once they're made, they've lasted for a long time. They last. But before that, when I was making them when Mr. Chick was doing it, have you ever seen the old smoke rails we use? They're like, if you look at them from the end, they're like a pyramid kind of, sort of, what you would call that.
And it flares at the bottom like a bell. They call it like a bell.
No, not those. No, that's
different.
After. It's like a star. They're straight.
A
like
straight piece of angle iron.
Like this.
And it kicks out.
It's not really an angle iron. It's if you had 3 pieces, was that 33 degrees each?
Okay.
So basically a upright one, and then 2 that go out at the bottom. Okay, so that's what we're smoking our sausage on. And I can't believe we don't still have some of those sticks hanging around here somewhere. But so yeah, we just hung the meat over that. So the meat that was underneath the stick really didn't get that dark, pretty color. It stayed kind of pink looking, which wasn't appetizing looking, but it didn't affect the taste at all. So that's how we made it back then for him. And that's how I was making it for myself. So yeah, he comes in and he's like, man, Donald, he says, y'all got to make me some of this. He says, look, he says, I'm going to come back Monday afternoon, and I want you to make me 20 pounds. So I'm like, man, Mr. Chick, I said, I can't. Daddy don't want to make this. Daddy was getting older. He's getting ready to retire.
And you asked
he's
him.
getting closer to retirement.
You already asked him, correct?
No, I'd never asked Dad.
Okay.
No.
You just was reading his mind.
Mr. Chick may have kind of talked to him about it a little bit, but he may have. Mr. Chick may have talked to Daddy about it, and Daddy, I think, turned him down maybe. So yeah, he asked me to do it. I'm like, man, I tried to tell him no, but he, like I said, he wouldn't take no for an answer. And he was a good guy. I love Chick. He was a great guy. And so anyway, I told him, I said, look, he said, man, look, Donald, don't worry about it. He said, I'm going to talk to your daddy. You don't worry about your daddy. That. And that's how he convinced me. I'm like, all right, you got me.
True salesman.
I'm young and dumb. So we come in Monday morning. Daddy's coming back like the Sunday, I think. So he's going to be at work Monday. So Monday morning, and you got to get in there early. And we smoke sausage Monday mornings for sure, every Monday. So back then it was a summer months. I knew I was going to have room. Usually in the summer we don't smoke quite as much. I knew we were going to have room to get it in there. So what I did, I just took some regular round steaks with the bone in, and they were $1.90 a pound at the time. I can remember that. And I sliced them, and raw weight 20 pounds is what he was buying. So I weighed up 20 pounds and got a ticket. And I didn't charge him nothing to season it and smoke it and all that stuff because I knew it lost a lot of weight. So I figured, we're coming out all right. We're selling for that much anyway, and I got to smoke anyway. It's not costing me anything extra really. So yeah. So anyway, I do that. I come in that morning, I slice them, and I put them in there. And Daddy, I don't know if Mr. Cleve gave Daddy the rundown of what was going on not behind my back. And Miss Cleve never did nothing behind your back, but he might have kind of let Daddy know what was happening because it was a lot more. I only did a few pieces, usually when I did it for myself, I never did that much. So I guess maybe he just figured out something's going on. But yeah, he didn't say a word to me all day. I mean, nothing.
Because he knew.
Nothing.
He knew what it started.
We take it in, and I think while we're taking it in, Chick walks in the door. And as soon as he walks in the door, Daddy's about a cooler right here. He's like, you. He points at him, and he does like this with his finger. Come see.
Chick does that to Papa, correct?
No, Daddy does that.
Did to,
yeah. Okay. So they go off on the side, and they get to talking quiet. I couldn't hear the conversation. But by the time it was all over with, old Chick, he knew how to talk, and he knew how to not take no for an answer. So Daddy agreed we'd make every Monday and every Wednesday. That's what we did. Monday afternoon, he picked up those 20 pounds, and then Wednesday afternoons, he picked up 20. And we'd take it, and we'd put about 3 or 4 pieces in a little piece of paper, and we'd wrap it. So he'd end up with, I don't know, maybe 20 packs. I don't know how many.
And he's hitting the road.
Yeah, he's going. And Daddy tells him, look,
and he's
Chick,
sweet talking.
Yeah, well, Daddy told him, he said, look, I'm going to make it for you, but you cannot tell anybody where you're getting it from. In fact, he said, you tell people you're making it yourself. That's what he told Chick.
Okay.
He told him, you tell people you're making it yourself. So that went on, I guess, about 6 months. But I mean, when we took it out in the evenings, man, that stuff smells good.
What year was this?
My best guess, like I said, I'm pretty sure I was still in college, so probably early 90s, 93-ish, give or take a year. Best guess. Maybe a little later than that, because Daddy might have been a little bit later, because Daddy wasn't here long when we were making it. He wasn't here that long, so it might have been late 90s. Because me and John bought out, I think, 91.
In 90 or 91, okay.
Yeah, I think 91 was our first year, I think.
So Mr. Chick's hitting the road with it, sweet talking to his clients or
he's getting in the door.
Oil field customers.
And that's what he's doing. He's getting in the door.
He's cutting the line.
He's cutting the line.
Nice. They still do it today.
Absolutely. They know it works. And that's funny. That's what a turkey cheese, a lot of them use, and they use that for the secretaries, the boss's secretary that gets them in with her because she's going to get him.
Yep.
She's really the one that gets them in there.
You got to flash it. I heard a story of a truck driver stacked up in line at a delivery. He was running late, he's 2 hours late, and there's 5 trucks ahead of him. And he hung that package out the window. He hung the white butcher paper out the window, and the guy at the gate seen it and flagged him around all the other trucks.
Nice.
So it's still...
Well, I've had some happenings like that.
Still sweet talks. So what about... All right, you're making it for Chick, and then how'd that evolve to
6 months?
Someone,
good 6 months.
Someone else walked in
Right.
and said, I want some jerky.
Well, in the evenings when we took it out, it smells. I mean, this place just smells so good. And so I would, we were small business. It wasn't but 4 of us behind the counter, I think at the time, maybe 5 at the most that worked here in the whole place. And from there, like, we knew our customers. We knew every one of them just about that walked in. So they'd, man, what is that? What is that? So we'd give them a little taste, just cut a little piece off, let them taste it. Oh, how much I'll sell it for? We don't sell that. So, and that's pretty much what happened for, 6 months or so. Occasionally we'd give somebody a piece and they kept asking for it. So eventually we started making maybe about 5 extra pounds, and then it became 10 extra pounds and then 20 extra pounds. And then it just kept growing.
And you remember the first year? When was the first year you knew it was something? You knew you had something.
I think from the beginning I kind of knew because all the ball players, everybody at 80 loved it. I never met a person that didn't like it for the first quite a few years, So, I never did this. It's hard to explain. I knew what I wanted to do when I was 6 years old. I mean, how many 6-year-olds really know what they want to do for a living? I knew I wanted to work. I wanted this place so bad when I was 6 years old. I used to cry about it because I never thought I did. I had 2 older brothers. But I always, mostly because of Cleve and Raymond, I think. I loved coming here. I absolutely loved this place. So I never did anything. I never thought of things that way. I just wanted to put out, let's put it this way. Anybody out there that's listening, when you eat a really good steak or seafood, any kind of good food, what do? Pretty much every single human on the planet, when they eat something that they really like, they smile. They're happy. And that's what I loved about what I did all my life. Providing the best stuff I could do, or trying to anyway. And yeah, seeing that smile on people's face. And that's why I did what I did all my life pretty much. It was never about the money, never. And I mean, granted, the money did come, but I would have done it anyway, I think. Because, I tell people, and they think I'm nuts, but I couldn't wait. When my eyes opened up in the morning, I couldn't wait. As soon as my feet hit the floor, I was out of the house within 10 minutes. I couldn't wait to come to work. I loved what I did. Loved what I did all my life. So anyway, yep, that's pretty much how the jerky got started. And then from there, we slowly evolved with different cuts of meat we've tried over the years and different sticks. The sticks we used not long when we started kind of growing a little bit at the beginning. And we did do some smoking of wood sticks back then at times when we had to overflow. So yeah, we ended up taking wood sticks, 1x2, I think it was. And we took just regular old galvanized nails. And this is probably back in the early 90s, mid 90s, I guess. We drove it in at an angle and then we'd bend them like a hook kind of. Yeah. So that, and that worked. Those worked good. They were hard after you take the jerky off to clean them. They didn't clean real good. Whereas the ones we got now clean really good with that stainless and aluminum,
There's a lot to it.
But we used those for quite a while.
There's a lot to it. What was it like working, let's say 10 years in? 10 years in, Papa's still there, correct?
Oh, after when I started in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah. High school was 80, so yeah. It was towards the end. I mean, Papa's fixing to leave.
What was that like? What was
transition, you mean?
Yeah, what was his role here? And what were y'all roles?
Daddy was here most of the time. His last year and a half maybe, he started playing golf a little bit. So he was here a little bit less, not a lot, but he was ready. He was ready to get out. Was
he talking about it?
Not really. Not really talking about it, but he was getting tired of it. He was getting old, hell, when you get old, you don't feel like working that hard, because there's no doubt. Now, I ain't got to tell you this is hard work. What we do, we're not doing with a whole lot of machines. We're doing a lot of it by hand. The way he did it, the way Grandpa did it. I don't know if people realize that. There's a lot of physical work to it.
And why not?
A lot of hours.
Why not change it up and take the easy way out and make the boudin with no bones in it and use garlic powder instead of garlic and green onions, dry green onions? Well, why not do all that?
Shane, you tell me. Does it taste the same?
I know why. I want to hear it. I want to hear it out your mouth.
What I just told you. I said I want to make the best.
You don't smile.
Boudin is not a fancy product. You don't find it in fancy restaurants. But I want to try to make the best boudin I can make, or whatever it is that I'm cooking that day. And that's something, most of the time when I was hands-on with anything we were cooking or making, vast majority of times. So, but yeah, that's why. I mean, it makes a difference. I don't care what anybody says.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't make a difference, and not everybody's taste buds are perhaps as delicate as mine, but I know the difference, and that's all that matters to me.
Mm-hmm. But what stops you from? What's the difference between you and the guy that he knows if he just uses garlic powder instead of garlic, he could make $1 more per pound? What's the difference between those two guys?
That's a good question.
Because I would.
Well, it comes back to what I just told you. I never did it for the money. I guess it's the money, greed maybe. I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't know. I guess that's it. Or laziness maybe, because it takes a lot of work. And look, for many, many years, we peeled our own garlic. We peeled it and chopped it by hand for many, many years, up until, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, maybe we could buy it where it was already peeled. That's been nice. But yeah, we don't even get it already minced anymore. We never did it that way. We always get it whole, and we do it by hand ourselves.
This is a great question. This is probably the best question I have, and it doesn't come from me. It comes from someone else.
Okay.
That works here and is related to you.
Okay.
They want to know.
Why does Brody want to do that?
It's actually not Brody. It's actually Jeff.
Jeff. Okay. Oh, this is going to be good. I love Jeff.
I told him I wouldn't say who.
Well,
it was.
he's a chip off of the old block over there in Shreve over there.
Jeff wants to know, why do customers come in here and they stand across the counter and they say, "I need $1 worse of something." What's $1 worse of? What's it mean? When did it start? Was that before you were here? Did you watch it happen?
Lord, yeah. No, that's been since it's opened. And people didn't have to make money. You got to realize, especially Daddy and Cleve when they were here, man, people didn't have no money back then. Meat was a luxury. Meat was a luxury back when they were growing up. Mr. Cleve didn't eat meat but once a week.
So here's my budget for sausage.
Yeah, I got $1.
You better nail it. You better nail it or I'm out.
And most of the time, not always, but the majority of the time was either with boudin or hog head cheese. Give me $1 worth of hog head cheese.
Right.
But that's just kind of, the worst is, I guess, Johnson Ridge slang. I ain't nothing but a Johnson Ridge boy, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just.
We've
still have customers?
We've sold millions of dollars worth of across that counter. That worth of something.
Yeah. I didn't realize they still ask for it that way. That's good. I like that.
And one time I remember Papa actually went, this was when he was, I don't know, he's probably 95, 96. He actually went a little too far over the whatever it was, $1.50 worth of, $1.75 worth of. He went a little too far over, and they told him it was too much. So he smiled at him, broke a quarter of the piece off, his turkey cheese. He broke a quarter of the piece off, popped it in his mouth, and then continued to wrap the rest of their dollars worth.
That's Daddy.
So that's how this place is gonna.
Well, you know what people?
It's gonna be. Ready.
And maybe those people realize this. The ones that do the worsa, I would say 80-90% of the time, maybe every time, that $1 worsa is actually about $1.25. It's always over. I never ever went under. Almost never.
That's the trick, huh?
Yeah, it was always over. And I think that's why they do that, because they know they get a little more.
You gotta ask for a little less than $1 worsa.
Yeah, I never ever. I never did that to people. If it was a little over, they got, which most of the time it was. I want to make sure that, they got their money's worth. But like I said, it was never about the money. What's in a quarter here, 50 cents there,
So beef jerky goes from Mr. Chick ordering his first, what was his very first order?
It was 20 pounds.
20 pounds of wet weight.
Yeah, wet weight, $1.90 a pound. Now, what it came out to on the end?
A third of that. Maybe.
Probably about $6 a pound.
Okay.
Probably. And that's, not including any labor or anything else with it. But from there, we did start selling, I think, best I can remember, and they may have some customers who bought it for cheaper possibly, but I think we started at $8 a pound. I think.
I think in my high school years, the lowest I remember was about $16 to $18 a pound. Yeah. And we always get customers, they say, "Boy, I've been buying this stuff since it was $10 a pound." And I remember back to about 16, 18.
Yeah. And mostly the first increases on the price we were still kind of trying to figure out what cut of meat worked best. Just a combination of taste, texture, and price, because it's jerky. You don't want to use the most expensive cut of meat for it, but you want to use something good, So that was probably why we ended up having to go up to that 10 or 12 mark when we first did, because of the cut of meat we ended up going with.
People don't know this. Almost no one knows this, but our jerky is known for being expensive. It is. People do mention how expensive it is, but they don't know that it's on average $8 to $10 cheaper per pound than almost anything you find in a gas station.
Yeah, they never figured that out, but that's
and it's not something we ever pushed.
No,
I've always questioned if we should or not, and I guess I don't know yet.
Yeah,
but yep.
You could do something like that on Facebook, which all with media, with the social media y'all have now, you could maybe just kind of show some examples,
But people don't know that.
Show them how much it is and then do the math. The people don't do the math, that's all.
Right.
A lot of people aren't that good at math, but if you sit and do the math, the vast majority of them are in the 40s probably. Huh?
Right. They're getting those 2.7 ounce packs. They don't understand what's happening there.
Yeah.
We could easily say it's $4 a pack instead of $30 a pound and put whatever we want in a pack.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe it is. Maybe that's something we ought to switch up one day and follow suit and do the packaging different, and maybe people will realize we're actually very underpriced for what you're getting.
Yeah, it is. And on top of all that, health-wise, it's probably the healthiest jerky you're going to buy because it doesn't have any nitrates or nitrites in it.
Right, and that's super rare. Sugars, a lot of stuff in there is loaded with sugars.
Yeah, I've noticed that. A lot of your breakfast sausages, every one of them has sugar in it now. I don't like sweet in a meat, like bacon. Same thing with bacon. Right. They're all sweet. I don't like that. But then everything, and that's another thing I'm really excited about is bacon over there at the place. And y'all sell it here, I think. But
Brett's got that bacon down
Dude,
pat,
I have played with that. I don't know if y'all know that, but I have played with that darn bacon over the years. I never could come out with something I liked. I like what he makes.
I've actually never been super interested in bacon until now, and I mean,
he's got a good product. Man. Brett came up with a good recipe.
Bacon's always been whatever, and after a couple of times trying it, I'm kind of hooked on it. So we've been messing with it. I
tell people about it when you first bite it. For me, this is just my experience, and I think most people will experience this if they follow through with it. That first bite, it's good, but it's not like the best bacon you ever ate, honestly. Okay. But it's because it doesn't have the nitrate. So like regular bacon with that nitrite, man, that first bite, boy, it's good. And if you really want to be a pig, you can eat 5, 6 pieces. But by the time you get to that 4th, 5th, 6th piece, it deteriorates, like it's not as good. I find hours when you get to that 4th or 5th piece, it just keeps getting better. Each bite gets better and better. It's hard to explain.
Till later.
It's just good. It just, like I said, that first bite to me is just average, and then just gets better and better with every bite.
It wet ages in your mouth.
That's
little drink break. Never hurt no one.
Yeah, you asked me about the 10 years right when Daddy was fixing to leave. We're talking about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. Let's go to that. Let's go back to he's not hinting toward retirement yet. And you and Uncle John have...
Well, he is, I guess, because he's letting us know. He wants us...
He's training y'all up.
Yeah, well, he's letting us know that he's going to be retired, and we needed to have each saved $6,000.
Okay.
And I was, 20... let me think now. How old was I in 90? About 28 years old. And so I'd been married. I was married. Before I was married, I was making $1.50 an hour. So after I got married, I was making $2 an hour at the time.
What were your friends making? What were they doing?
Oh, I had a buddy of mine making, what was Kevin making? He was in college. His dad was giving him $250 a week, and he worked about 4 hours a week. No, he probably worked more than that, but still, yeah, $1.50 an hour while I was in college, and up until after I got married, I got a raise. I went to $2 an hour. So it's not easy to save $6,000.
Buddies in the oil field, stuff like that.
Yeah. It was his dad's company.
But all your college buddies, what are they doing after college?
Well, right at the end of college, I had a heck of a graduating year in '84. So inside of about a 5-month period, so I graduate college in May. I decide in August to run for Terrebonne Parish School Board.
Okay. I heard some stories about this.
The ripe old age of 20 years old.
I don't know much about 20 years old.
So I run and win that, and then I'm married about...
You won.
A month after that. So inside of about a 4-month period, I'm graduated, run for school board, youngest elected official in the state of Louisiana at the time ever. I know there's been some younger than me since then. But,
and why'd you want to do that?
That's a good question.
You loved school.
You know, my mom was a teacher. All his sisters were teachers. I loved the thought of teachers. You know, I think I had some very good ones in my, you know, I went to public schools, but yeah, I had some great teachers. I was really blessed with some great teachers that pushed me a little bit, you know, and, you know, I needed it. But I liked teachers, and I wanted to maybe make a difference there, you know. And I mean, it was kind of long-term, kind of a stepping stone. The summer or two before that, Dave Treen had run for office, and my buddy Kevin was real big. His aunt was real big in his campaign. So we put up a bunch of signs. That's my first taste of politics, I guess, at about 19 years old, and ended up meeting him. You know, that was pretty exciting for a young kid. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I got my taste, I guess, for politics. But
I'm not into politics, but do you still have a taste for politics?
No.
Has it changed since then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has. Yeah, you don't want to be the politician. You want to be the man behind him.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
know, a very wise man once told me, I was district attorney in Terrebonne Parish. He said, you know, Donald, he says, once you get elected and, you know, you have to make decisions, you know, on any board or whatever, you know, parish council. He says, from then on, the whole time, you very seldom make friends. All you do is make enemies. And I never understood when he said that, or make people mad at you. But every time you say yes or no to a vote, somebody's not happy. Somebody is not happy with that decision. So yeah. And he was right. Like I said, I was at a young age when he told me that. I didn't catch it, but yeah, it took a few years where I realized, like, you know, there was a lot of wisdom in what he told me. I didn't understand it at the time.
And people are more inclined to tell you when you made them mad than when you made them happy.
You never hear. You very seldom get
that's
the pats
a trend.
on the back. Yeah,
that's a trend.
And that's just life. That's people. That's human nature, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
When did the slaughterhouse close?
Man, what year? Best guess around 2000, maybe a little bit before that.
How old were you when you slaughtered your first cow?
Well, I mean, I can remember 5, 6 years old. Cleve would hold a gun. He'd let us pull a trigger.
Right here, right in the back.
Yeah, in the back here. Yeah, that's why we slaughtered.
So if you're passing the market and you pass the taller portion.
Yeah, the metal.
Right. That
was a slaughterhouse.
The big, tall metal building. That was a slaughterhouse.
Yep. Before that, that was built in 72. So I was about 10, 11 years old when that was built. But before that, they slaughtered right there where y'all make the boudin. That was a slaughterhouse. And the boudin and the sausage, we did everything in that one little room. So what we did, Shane, where the back cooler door is, we backed the trailer to that door. Daddy had 2 big swinging doors right there. They'd back a big square trailer there. They try to push the cattle that they wanted to kill to the back of the trailer. Somebody would go outside, kind of push them to the towards the building, to the back of the trailer, and somebody would be inside with a gun. They'd shoot them, and try to drop them near the door, but not where you couldn't open the door.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And we'd hurry up and push them to the front and stand. Somebody would make sure to try not to, because sometimes they would charge you, and you'd have to hurry up and get the dead animal out and hurry up and close the door. So it was, and they did it that way for, I don't know how long, probably since it was built. Mm-hmm. That was built probably in the early 50s, that particular.
I heard Mr. Cleve punch a cow out cold with his
No,
bear.
not Mr. Cleve.
No?
It wasn't Mr. Cleve. No, that was Nanny. That was a boy, I say a boy, man from the Ridge. I don't know his real name.
Big boy.
Yeah.
Punched it.
Oh, yeah.
Bare knuckle.
I heard many stories about Nanny. Nanny, from what I hear, was
Nanny.
So if y'all ever heard about Big John, okay, if you ever heard that song, that had to, I can vaguely remember him. He died many years ago, but from what everything I've heard about him, he was a man's man, like just powerful.
Nanny.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard stories of him just sitting there and people punch him right square across the chin, and he just kind of smile at them.
Right.
Just tough and just. Now, that being said, I heard he wasn't the brightest person in the shed, but he was a good soul from what a good man. But yeah, he said he came there that day and he watched Daddy and them shoot him. This was before inspection. And when he got up to the next one, Nanny was back there, BSing with him and all. And he knew Mr. Cleaver, and my dad knew him well too. But, oh man, Mr. Lester, he says, save your bullets. He went over there and punched him and knocked him out in the head. Knocked him out. Yep. Knocked him out with his fist. Save your bullets, Mr. Lester.
What a hero. That's called a hero.
No, that's a man with big hands. Big hands.
I guess they don't make guys like that today, right?
They do. They just don't use it.
You
maybe?
think
I don't know.
anyone in Louisiana punched a cow out cold with their bare knuckles this
He's
year?
the only one I ever. No.
I don't
No.
think so.
They probably didn't spank their dog that hard. But anyway,
So do you remember what year or time frame when you stopped slaughtering?
like I said, roughly, it was a little before 2000. Right
Paul
around
was
that time.
gone. You and John had it.
Yeah, and the reason why we did it, it was getting to be a pain in the butt, man. The government would slaughter. I love slaughtering it. It was hard work, but I liked it. We only did it one day a week. We were killing 3-4 animals on average a week. And it just got to be 3-4 hours of cleaning, scrubbing, preparation, getting everything ready. And it would take, at the most 2.5-3 hours to slaughter 4 animals. And then, and the government just kept getting more and more. We had to buy an incubator to test for E. coli, swab test all the carcasses. And I mean, I don't even have to be a scientist to be able to slaughter,
Mm-hmm.
So it just got old. And plus the jerky was really growing and we were starting to pop out the seams over here at the time. So it was the right, I miss it, don't get me wrong, but at the time it was probably the right decision. Yeah. So we took the slaughterhouse and turned it basically into a jerky processing, the whole area. We ended up doing the vacuum packing room and the slicing room and all that.
Did that feel risky? Calling it quits on the slaughtering?
It didn't feel risky. It felt like I lost a part of me there. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Isn't it a shame?
I mean, I did it for too long. I mean, I probably should have quit sooner. But financially, I probably should have quit. Let me say it that way, probably, because you don't make a lot of money off of that particular thing. It's the processing stuff. That's what the money's made. But it was just a part of me. I'd been doing it since, like I said, 5-6 years old. I killed probably my first pig and cow. Miss Cleve would hold a gun and he'd let me pull the trigger. That's kind of cool as a little kid.
It kind of reminds me of today. We're at the Thibodaux market right now, and you look at that saw right there and think about how many calves have been cut on there. How many sevens? How many pork chops? How sad would you be if we stopped doing calf cuts?
Yeah. With the new location, both stopped, and I probably was the one that advised them to do it because there's just no money in it, and you don't sell a lot of it.
Right.
People just don't eat that way anymore. Really, is what it amounts to. People don't know they don't cook. It takes time to cook those things. People want something fast. Yeah, people want something fast, and it'll probably come back someday. And I hope we don't get rid of it.
It takes patience and it takes learning. It takes the generational.
Yeah, it takes that grandma to teach you how to do that.
Yeah, you gotta have
the mom at
the
least.
hand down.
Yeah, we're losing that, unfortunately.
Not
everywhere. There you go.
Yeah, I guess people don't know that that's not a money making product, and that's something we're doing to make people happy, to keep them cooking the same things they're used to cooking,
I hope so.
And fulfilling those recipes they have that were passed down by grandma, great grandma. Yeah. It's hard to do because it takes so much training.
Yeah,
it takes
that's another thing. Finding people
hell of a lot of training
to learn how to break it down and all. Yeah, it does.
Right.
It takes time, and you don't want to invest that in somebody young if they only going to be here for a year.
Right.
I mean, it takes 5 years to learn it.
It's one of those things in the building. We don't really let anyone under 25 touch that saw, just as our own personal rule. But it takes maturity. It takes a lot, man.
Yeah.
And
nowadays you hear a lot about people being racist and prejudiced. That's one thing Mr. Cleve always used to say about that saw. He said that saw is neither racist or prejudiced. If you put your finger in it, regardless of what or who you are, it will cut you.
Right. I guess
I used to like Mr. Cleve had so many good sayings. But that saw is not prejudiced at all, and it will cut you. But yeah, you need maturity to use it. And the key is, especially over the years, man, we used to be so busy in here. I know people probably thought I was very rude because when I'm on that saw, I turn everything off. Everything around me, I turn it off. All it takes is one glance up. If somebody, hey, Donald, and you just look up while you're cutting something, that could cost you a finger.
Right.
So I liked my fingers. So I take people think I'm rude over losing a finger.
Right.
So, and that was my attitude over the years. But Miss Cleve taught me that way. When you're on that saw, you don't play, you focus, and you concentrate on what you're doing.
What is it about? It's something that's so cool, though, is being on that saw, cutting up for boudin at 4, and you get a little line, and man, the way people watch you, it's almost
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it is, but for someone who likes that, it's a extreme sport almost,
Yeah, because now you don't see that every day.
I love it.
Especially
and it's
cutting
cool.
up for boudin.
And,
That's
you know,
something you don't. Yeah, cutting up for boudin is not like cutting a steak
Right.
or chop. You know what I mean? That's different.
people are looking. They don't have a clue why you're
Yeah.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and doing that. That being said, you're not going to lose a finger if you get hit there. Good chance you'll lose your whole hand. You know, really, because you don't have the guard on with a 1 inch or a half inch.
You freestyle.
You only lose a little piece. You're going to lose a lot if you
Right.
get hit while you're doing that.
But those are
That's
things
the scariest. That's probably the scariest thing to do in a saw is cutting up for boudin. Honestly,
those are the next things in my mind that we have comparable to y'all. You know, losing the slaughtering process. Like
it's just the meat,
the veal cuts, and
Yeah.
man, anything that's not easy and already done for you.
Yeah.
I'm afraid people stop ordering.
I'm a spread a little, I guess, wisdom or whatever you want to call it. So daddy lived to be 97. My grandma lived to be, his mama lived to be, I think 91, something like that. They eat, you know, they share meat. Even when they were poor and young, they had a meat market. So we ate a good bit of meat. Now it might have been the neck or the feet or the hooves, but you know,
the last thing standing.
You know, yeah, whatever they couldn't sell that week. But 90+% of it was all grass-fed stuff. And I'm convinced over the years of selling, we have some really good steaks, and I love a good steak as far as a heavy beef steak. But vast majority of the meat you get in these grocery stores and anywhere in the country is that heavy beef stuff. I'm convinced that that's what clogs up arteries and gives you the cholesterol and stuff, is that heavy beef. Granted, Daddy had a little bit high cholesterol, but it wasn't horrible. You know what I mean? And he never was overweight. So I think eating that particular type of meat is not that bad for you. I'm really convinced of that. And time has taught me that, I think. But it's that heavy beef, I think, that'll get you.
But it takes a skill. You can't. It's not
yeah,
something you can order it
and y'all
cook
are
it
the
like
last ones that have it right now.
You can't just order it, cook it how you want it, and it come out good. You have to know something. You have to
people.
know a
Yeah,
little
you can't.
something.
Yeah, you can't take grass fed and cook it like a grill. Honestly, you can. I don't think you'd be very happy with it. You know, grilling it on a barbecue pit or whatever. Yeah, most of it needs to be smothered down. Honestly,
Yeah.
You know, now you can take the veal cutlets, pané them, and fry them. You know, I ate my share. Like I guess back when I was young, we ate a lot of chuck chops, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The whole family. Apparently, back then, people. It's funny how things change. So when I was young, I think from what I understand, what Daddy tells me, you couldn't keep round steaks in here. How is it now, Shane?
A round steak.
Yeah, round steak. Couldn't keep them.
Oh,
Couldn't
dude.
keep them.
You could put it in a pup. You can grind it up in a pup stick and not sell it.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody buys them anymore, huh? No. That's crazy. Back, like I said, as a kid, and from what Mr. Cleveland tells me before my time, that's what everybody wanted. And they smother it. You know, it's made to smother now, and they cut them different. You know, sometimes they do a dough, but most of the time they cut them real thin, and they'd smother them down. But in recent years, what's the thing? It's still chuck and neck.
Sevens.
7. Well, we never had. Yeah, that's been forever. You can.
We got a list of sevens. We got a list of chuck.
If you can grow a genetically modified number 7 cow, you'd be a millionaire.
But yeah, you get those families in. It's the families the Josephs, Slinda. Her daughters, and I think.
Oh, her daughter's coming here.
I think her granddaughter's coming in here.
Oh, awesome! They live in local.
I'm assuming they're
good.
here. They're here.
Okay, I don't think they used to, but I'm glad. I'm glad. That's good. That's
that
good.
family, we recognize them, we see them, and
that's good.
But who else? Who else? I guarantee you, they know how to cook.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're not ordering what they ordering on accident.
They still got some out there. They just
and they're not following a trend that they're seeing online where they got a special recipe. Mm-hmm. That's just how they eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it takes. You got to have people who they're not trying something new. They have eating is a part of life, and people are afraid to make it a routine. They're afraid to make it.
That's a good point. Never thought about that.
This is what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Mama. Yeah. We wasn't so much a routine, but like we ate the same stuff regularly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like smothered the chuck. Back then, like I said, I think it was the exact opposite back then. They couldn't give away chuck in the neck hardly. Mm-hmm. But now it's the exact opposite. You can't keep them now. But it's just, we ate a lot of that. And look, we ate, I bet you this is something you never ate, that we ate pretty regular. And I'm not talking about the big end of the chuck, going towards the neck, the small end. Mm-hmm. You cut it real thin as you can almost, and fry them.
In between the chuck and the rib?
Well, the chuck chop, but closer to the neck, kind of.
Okay.
You know, that's
And
the
fry it.
that's
No,
the toughest part of the chuck, right?
I've never fried it.
But when you agree, that's the toughest part of chuck.
Sure,
As
yeah.
you get towards the ribeye, it gets more tender.
Mhm.
But yeah, Mama
Fried
used to
up.
fry them and didn't flour them or nothing, just fried them.
Okay.
But apparently, Daddy just couldn't sell them. And I mean, we had 7 of us, so she probably fried, I don't know, because I'd make sure I got 2 of them. So she might have fried 15 or 20, who knows. But I mean, back then, the calves were smaller too. I find that they don't slaughter smaller calves now. That's part of the issue too. The calves are bigger, so they're going to be a little tougher probably. Mm-hmm. But yeah, our calves, man. Oh, let me tell you that story, talking about cut meat. So me and John B., we buy the business, do all the paperwork, like August 1st or whatever, or, January 30th, whatever it was. So the auction is Tuesday, and we slaughtered on Wednesday. So me and John B. come to work Tuesday morning. We're like, we need some meat. You know how to buy cows? No, you? No. I mean, we went to the auction with Daddy, but we never sat with him, or he never showed us zero in the auction. Ever. Nothing.
You were supposed to be watching.
I guess. I thought he maybe thought we were watching, maybe. But I mean, I never went with him like after I started working here. This was as kids, like teenagers, we used to come, and during the summer we'd go with him sometimes, and hang out at the auction and go look at the cattle in the barn and stuff like that. But yeah, so we'd like, oh shoot. So, all right, I guess I'm the one.
Where was the auction?
I was the older brother. The Thibodaux auction right here. You know where it was? On
toward Hero Park?
Yeah, past Heroes. What is that? Ridgefield? I guess way down the end by they got housing and
towards
all there now.
Thibodaux
But it was on the left. I think the barn's still there. Past Thibodaux High and all, it's on the left as you go, right before you get to Bruley and all.
Okay.
But not far, maybe a quarter mile before the Bruley or so. But anyway, so I get in there, and I didn't know the routine of how they did things. Okay, I learned.
How many people are at the auction?
Oh, there's
100.
Not 70 for sure.
Okay.
Buyers, and of let me see, probably 100, maybe 70 to 100, but only like 10 or 15 are buying.
And y'all are 20 years old?
Yeah.
And everyone else is in their 60s.
Yeah. So I'm watching. Well, I'm by myself. John's like, you got to go. I'm the older brother, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I go over there, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I didn't know this at the time, but the way they ran the auction, they ran the cows first. Okay, so cows are bigger, older animals, and that's what we use for ground meat. It's cheaper. It's not like a calf. Calves are a lot more expensive, and it's better meat, but more tender. But the cows are older, and they're different age cows. I didn't know that at the time. I'm watching them come through, and oh man, that's too expensive. I didn't even know how much they were. And they sell them by the pound. At the time, I don't know, 75 cents a pound, $1. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, so they're coming through, and I'm like, I bid maybe on 1 or 2, and it went up, and I'm like, So anyway, next thing you know, no more cows are coming through. It's nothing but calves. So I'm like, oh shit, no more cows. I need a cow. I think that's all we needed that week, maybe. I don't remember buying a calf. I may have, I don't know. But I remember the cow, and there's a reason I remember that cow. So they run everything through, and I sit there for hours and hours. They run all kind of, pigs through the calves and stuff, a lot of calves. So, back, there were auctions back then. They'd run 1,500 plus through there.
Oh,
cattle.
wow.
Yeah, You'd be there till 6, 7 o'clock at night, later sometimes.
Wow. People from out of town?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah. But so it wasn't that late. This wasn't that huge of a sale, but it was, I'm pretty sure John was wondering where the heck I was. But so finally, I mean, they were finished. There was no more cattle. So I think Gene Voiron, who was the owner, he knew, he knew who I was and all. He knew Daddy real well. So I think he went found a couple of them that maybe didn't sell or something, and it's something because he would buy some himself to resell somewhere else or whatever maybe. But anyway, so he ran a few more through, and boy, there was a cheap one came through. Oh, I want him. That's the one I want. And it had when they came into the ring, he announces it's a zero brand. It's a broke mouth. It's and they'd have, and other than that, they'd have a well, it had a BM on them. I didn't know what the
broke
hell.
Mouth.
Well, he wouldn't announce it. It had a BM on it. Okay, or they had a 0, or they'd have a number 1 through usually about 8, more or less. And it was in like chalk almost. I guess it was a paint they used, and it was near their rump. I didn't know what none of that meant. Well, this was a 0. I didn't know what the heck that meant, but he was cheap. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. This was a good lesson, though. It taught me never to buy cheap. So I get to, buy, so I'm, all right, I can go back to work. So I run back to work, blah, blah, blah. Get in here the next morning, we get ready to slaughter. And back then, it was under inspection. So I get back there, and this cow is on the floor. Can't get him up, and they're not supposed to allow us to drag him in. They have to be able to walk in on their own. And of course, they made us put a stupid cement floor back there, which even a healthy cow a lot of times falls on it. Well, he fell, and we couldn't get him up. But he was, when I got there, he was laying down, and he was like, he was pretty much on his last breath, maybe. I don't know. It ain't good. So I'm like, oh God, what are we going to do? Thank God. I think the inspector felt for me that day. He allowed us to drag it in. Well, he checked it. He has to check it for temperature. It wasn't, if he'd have been running a temperature, he would not have let me kill it, but it wasn't running a temperature. And so it wasn't sick or anything. And he just wore himself out on that cement more than anything, probably. But anyway, so yeah, he did. Thank God he did let me slaughter that cow that day. But that is the last zero ever walked into this building ever. In fact, I don't think I allowed a 5 to walk into this building. Everything I ever bought was between 2 and 5 or 2 and 4. I love that. There's younger cows. Man, it's just better meat. I learned, it took me a few weeks, but that's pretty much, yeah. And zeros came in, I looked the other way. That's how my daddy taught, though. Man, he let you make mistakes, and he didn't care.
You think he knew what was going to happen?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. I never told him that story. He probably didn't even know that story.
I wonder if he called someone and said, "Hey, Donald's going to be there. Keep an eye on him."
Daddy did not do that. Because I wouldn't have had a zero if they'd have kept an eye on me. Yeah.
I'm sure someone laughed when you left.
No, they didn't. They probably felt sorry for me because I didn't know. But I bet you Daddy, I should have told Daddy that story. I don't think he's ever heard that story. I don't know why. But I mean, I was busy working from then on. Me and John, I mean, that was our ball game from there. And he we were kind of expecting him to come in here, and he where's Daddy? Seen Daddy? No. It was a little bit of a shock because, you're used to that every day as a young person. And we're 19, 20, 21 years old. No, not that. I'm sorry. No, we were more like 27, 28.
Okay.
But, you saw him every day.
So when's the first time you think Bo ran into something like that?
Oh, that's a good question. With Bo, because that happened to me, the way Daddy did it, I purposely, while I still owned it, I would not show up. Like that last year in business, when I knew I was getting kind of close, I would purposely not call him or nothing. And I just wanted to see how he'd handle it. And,
So did he call you?
No.
All right.
But I was the same way.
Yeah.
Like when my workers were off, there was a lot of times I could have called them, like mostly just a question about an order or something. And I did occasionally, but I did everything I could. I bent over backwards, never ever to bug my workers when they were off, because I tried to give my workers a day off during the week just to get, But back, like my dad and them, when I was coming into this thing, look, we didn't take a day off. Mm-hmm. You work 6 days a week, and we were open till Saturday till 5. So, I mean, I think what it was, about a 55, 57-hour work week.
Right.
Maybe more than that. Hell, he was open from 7 to 6 when I first started. So what's that? That's a 11-hour day. And we did close for lunch. So that's probably 10-hour day.
You close up shop, everyone leaves, come back at 1.
And that was miserable. That was miserable because there were 10 cars in the parking lot sometimes
waiting on you.
Yeah. So when you walked in that door and, you had lunch, you kind of took a little nap maybe, or you got lazy a little bit. So you kind of like trying to fumble your way through it. And you had to roll. I mean, you didn't want people waiting because they already been waiting. Not every time, but there was a lot of times there was plenty of people waiting. And that's why I got rid of the lunches. I started I cut the hours back when I took over and got rid of the lunch hour because of that mostly. And just started alternating the lunch hours.
Yeah. And that's still what we do today. Mm-hmm. Man, speaking of naps, some of my earliest memories here were, I'm assuming high school, junior high time, and you and Uncle John were here, and sometimes I would go with you for lunch, and sometimes I would go with him.
Okay.
And I just I remember jumping in your truck, heading to your house. I don't know what we were getting, maybe grab a Subway or something, or make a sandwich at home, take a nap, head back over here, do the same thing with Uncle John. I go to his house.
He'd do the same.
Take a nap. We lay on the couch, take a nap, come back.
Daddy,
and then I did the same thing with Papa.
Daddy,
I remember coming over.
That's where we got it from.
I would head to Papa's with him and lay on the couch, take a nap. He'd put on whatever kind of, whatever he was watching on TV.
Yeah, he'd throw something on TV. I think that helped him go to sleep a little bit, get his mind off of it.
We'd take a nap and then come back. But
okay, so let me ask you this. We know which chair he was in.
right.
How did he nap? What did he do? Do you remember anything particular?
He would usually, if he made him a sandwich or
No, the nap.
Well, it includes the lunch, the nap and the lunch are one because the sandwich would be half eaten on his chest. The feet would be up. He'd be reclined back, out cold, with crumbs everywhere, and most of the change would have fell out of his pockets and went into the chair. And I would either be napping or I'd be waiting for him to get up so I could check underneath the chair and collect the change.
So do you remember, I don't know why I remember this, but often, I don't know if I'm pretty sure he did it every time. So the curtains were behind him. You don't remember him taking the curtain strings and wrapping around his head a bunch of times to sleep? You don't remember that?
No.
That might have been before your time. But yeah, so the chair leaned back and it was right up against the wall where the curtains were open right there. And you know, the drawstring for the curtain. He taking and wrap it around his head kind of a certain way where it would cock his head a certain way, I think. Yeah.
A little head rest.
I thought you would have noticed that.
Ingenuity.
Maybe he wasn't doing it then at the time, or maybe Mama changed the curtains then. I'm not sure. But yeah, he did that a lot too. That's something I remember.
Ingenuity.
But yeah, I bet you 3-4 days a week he did peanut butter jelly.
PBJ. We often did a little piece, maybe a half pound of jalapeno sausage.
Oh, really?
Out the casing, just fried up in a skillet on white bread with mayonnaise.
Okay, yeah.
We did that often when I ate lunch there.
And when he did eat something like that, a lot of times he did a little fold over with the PBJ.
Sure.
Yeah, he'd do a little fold.
Or
that was like his dessert.
Just PB.
Oh, I know.
PB.
Okay.
Peanut butter sugar sometimes.
Yeah.
You like the
a little sugar.
A sugar crunch. But yeah, so I remember that was one of my earliest memories. And then one of my most significant memories was the time me and Benson were vacuum packing in the dungeon. We'd moved the vacuum pack machines from the middle room to the dungeon.
This has something to do with me, I bet.
Yes. So me and Benson are in the dungeon and we're vacuum packing. And we have...
Was I having a good day?
Probably had one machine back then, right?
Yeah, probably. Was I having a good day?
Oh, no, not after you came to the dungeon.
You sure you want to say this story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not after you came to the dungeon.
Oh, okay. Who y'all do?
So, me and Benson are going. Benson must be in high school, and I must be in junior high. So, Benson maybe 17, 18. I'm probably 14, 15, if that's close. And we got an assembly line going on. So, to vacuum pack, you weigh out the beef jerky, you put it on a paper, you wrap the paper, you stick it into the vacuum bag, and it's nice. And then you drop that into the vacuum seal machine. Well, we had two of us with not enough to do, so what we did is we created more to do. But in our minds...
Yeah, y'all working faster.
We invented a new process. We're evolving. That's what we were doing.
Y'all were being entrepreneurs.
And we were going way faster, okay? So Benson would seal up the jerky, and we created this big ramp out of cardboard boxes. We cut up some cardboard boxes, and we made maybe a 3-level ramp. It would turn. It did like a big S curve, and we either stapled or duct taped them together. Well, we put it from the top shelf, and then I had the vacuum machine on the ground. So I'm sitting on my butt.
I really don't remember this, but this is getting good.
Yeah, I'm sitting on my butt, and there's a big S-curve slide leading from Benson to me. So Benson would bag up the jerky, and he would take... This is so Benson wouldn't have to turn around, by the way. So Benson would be standing straight. He would fill the bag with the jerky, and then he would bring it like this, and then just drop it right beside him, and it would go down the slide to me, where I would grab it and put it on the vacuum machine. So we did this for who knows how long. It could be all day. It would probably be Christmas time, something like that.
Yeah.
So we had been doing this all day, and we're proud of it. And we're not afraid to tell people what we've created and show them the process. And you had come back there, and you had seen what was going on, and we were still... Keep in mind, we're still proud of it.
This. I just don't remember.
Still proud of it. So we wanted to show you what we had created. So we showed you, boom, 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 boom. And you kind of were like, okay, that's cool. So how many totes did you do? So we were also proud of the totes you did. that we did. So we counted the totes and we told you whatever, six totes. And you're like, 6 totes. Okay. So let's see. And you grabbed the paper and you just did some math. So
I love numbers. I don't know why.
You did some math and you broke down what it normally should take versus what it took us.
Yeah. Well, y'all didn't figure in the hour it took to build the slide.
You did all that on paper and you showed us, you said, all right, let's go. But listen, for every, I don't know if you broke it down by the hour or by the pack. Maybe you said, from every pack that y'all have packed so far, you lost about 20 cents on each pack with the slide. And then you just left. And it threw a big wrench into things.
I really don't remember the slide, but I could see me doing what I did with the numbers.
It threw a big wrench into
things.
Numbers guy. And obviously, we didn't see it that way. We were more proud of the invention, and we really thought we were doing a great thing, but we weren't.
I busted your bubble.
And but it did stick with me. And if I told you I didn't do that same thing
with your workers now
5 times in the past 10 years, I'd be lying. And I just knew what to do, and I knew how to handle it because that's how you handled it, and it worked, right? And it worked.
I guess.
And now.
If I'm in a bad mood, I didn't do too good with people, unfortunately.
And now I know that Mark can do the same thing with the high. If we get 2 high schoolers in, Mark can do the same
that's
thing.
Nice. That's good.
But it's just one of those things. It's the things you don't think about that are most impactful.
You know where that came from, Shane? I don't know why, but it fascinated me. I think high school. What was the class you had to take in high school?
Not English.
No.
Not English.
No. Civics. Was it civics? Or it might have been college.
Economics.
Civics, when I learned about, I forget which class, but anyway, you learned about assembly lines.
Okay.
And the efficiency of them. That fascinated me. And I was a numbers. I love numbers. I was very good with numbers, very fast. I mean, I didn't use a calculator in here for years. I did tax everything in my head, whether it was 2% was real easy, but when it started going to 2 1/4 and 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, stuff like that, it would take me an extra second or so to figure it out. But I did in my head all those years up until we got these dumb me up, these scales and all, which is nice. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I'd figure tax in my head. And in fact, my CPA always said I would race with him sometimes with numbers, and I'd beat him every time. If he had a calculator and I did it in my head, I'd beat him every time with big numbers and percentages and stuff. But it's just something that I was good at and I liked. I liked numbers and I liked just playing with them and but I liked efficiency. I like even in my life, I always try to be efficient whatever I did. Drives me nuts to be redundant and have to do something over or to see someone do something and have to do it over, because just do it right the first time. You don't need to screw it up. And we've had workers over the year that want to try to change something that we've done for, and they ask me like, why y'all do it that way? I'm like, that's the way I was taught. But that wasn't a good enough answer for them. They wanted to do it their own way, which was slower, not nearly as efficient, and just not the way I wanted it. And it would aggravate the fool out of me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that's how we operate today. The kind of the way we taught the guys is here's the way we had to learn it, because we wanted to be just like Uncle Donald. We wanted to be just like Papa. We did it the same way. We sharpened the knife the same. We sharpened the knife with the steel facing up, like this. Yeah. We don't put it down and do like this. Yeah. Why? Because they didn't.
The way
that's
why.
Why.
Did it. Yeah, that's the only way. That's the way I learned.
Can you do it? Can you do it like that and get it sharper than I can? Probably not. But hey, if you're here for 5 years, 10 years, and you prove yourself that you can sharpen it the way I taught you.
Yeah.
Just like I taught you. And you can do it your own special way. Yeah. Now you get to do it your own special way.
I mean, growing up in this place, I wasn't allowed to sharpen a knife for a long time. Yeah. Because, I mean, they're expensive and you can grind on them and it costs some money. And then when I was able to sharpen, did I look? Yeah, when I was able to sharpen a knife on my own, it was the oldest one out there. Right. I wasn't allowed to touch it.
And we still, we still do that because it's the idea of, it's not about the knife being sharpened. It's about, can you learn?
Yeah.
Are you a learner?
Yeah. Can you listen?
Can you just pay attention?
Yeah. The details.
We still do it that way. And then we have no problem recognizing when, hey, you do it just like I do.
Yeah.
It's as sharp as I can get it.
Yep.
Now come up with your own special way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when the new guy comes, you're going to teach him the way Mr. Cleve sharpened a knife, because that's what we want. That's what we want it to look like. It's not just about the function of the knife. It's about, I want to be able to imagine what the person across the counter sees. And to me, the coolest thing to look at is a butcher with the handle and going and like this. That's what looks the coolest.
Yeah, I never thought about
this crap. When you put the tip of the stone on the table and you know, like a chef might.
Yeah, it's funny. That chef's kind of, that's how to do it. Yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah, I guess.
If nothing else other than it doesn't look cool, then we're sticking with that until you can do it this way.
Yeah. Yeah, never thought about that at all.
So, all right, back to kind of getting to where Bo's coming into the picture.
Okay. Yeah. So I purposely would kind of just not show up. You know, I didn't do it often, but I did it, especially towards the end, the last few months. I was kind of doing it regular, Yeah. But he passed the test.
And Bo got started with the website. I don't necessarily know what year that kind of stuff started.
Was that still here?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
He would maybe know.
I don't know. And I don't know. How did things change for that transition?
That had to be right towards the end, Shane. I'm not sure if we had
not the online, but the changeover sort of.
Oh, between me and him?
Yes.
I don't know if I did it right, but I did it.
Right.
I pretty much did like my dad, kind of, honestly, in the end. Now, granted, he didn't give me breaks like I gave Bo, like not showing up. That kind of prepares you a little bit of me not being here. So I did give him that, but yeah, when papers were done and it was time for me not to show up, I didn't show up.
Kind of like, here you go.
Yeah. I've never heard him complain.
Yeah. Well,
to my knowledge, and look, I know it wasn't easy because I went through it too. I did the same, but I did have a brother to go through it with.
Right.
When did you come in? Were you there then? Not yet, huh?
Yeah.
You were working before?
Yeah, you were still here.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if you had come in yet or it was after.
You were still here. From what I remember, Bo was more than capable, for long before that.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't want him to do this. And I told him, and he'll affirm this. I told him, I said, look, Bo, this place makes plenty of money. I mean, it's you can do well here. I said, but if you do it for the money, it won't make it. It will not make it. Mm-hmm. It won't make the next generation. And you have to love, and I loved what I did. I mean, I loved what I did. I was hoping that he would love it as much as I did. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I've been very, very pleased to see that he definitely has the work ethic and he definitely loves it every bit as much as I did, I think. So, yeah, I've been proud and very, very just fulfilled, I guess, seeing that happen, really.
For sure.
Me personally.
It's a different animal in here.
It is. It's gotten to be because, and I knew it would be, and that's why I got out the way. Because with Bo here, even, about last couple of years, we'd added on that little addition with the boudin burritos, which was a great little thing. But we had to hire more workers, and that's what my issue was. I kept it small. I don't know how the customers like it, but I mean, when I got to where I just couldn't keep up, and look, we worked hard. All my workers, they worked hard, worked long hours, and worked fast as we could. And when we got to where we just couldn't keep up anymore, and we just had enough, I went up on prices. In business school, you take some economics classes, supply and demand. So I figured, you know what, I need to go up. And when I did go up on prices, I tried to pass it on to my workers. I'd give them a raise also. So, and that's just kind of how I did things. And I know I got a little expensive with things probably over the years. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want that image, but I kind of had to just because, physically, there's only so much you can do. Mm-hmm. And the way we make it, it's a physical job. There's not a fast way to do it. So, unfortunately, we had to charge more for things. And just because of supply and demand, there's only so much I could make, especially with the facility you got here. I mean, you've been in here with 30 people. You can't hardly move.
Right.
10 workers is probably optimal for the size of this building, maybe 12 max. Mm-hmm. And that's where we were, I think, when we did that addition before I left. We were at about 15 or 17 maybe. And when it comes to workers, their problems are your problems, and it starts wearing on you, especially when you get older. You get a little more grouchy. And that's really one of the reasons why I got out quite as young as I did. I probably got out a little too young, but I needed to get out of Bo's way. I knew he was ready to expand and do the new location. And I didn't want nothing to do with that. And he wanted to grow the business. And I was there before. I was there with Daddy. I was ready to expand and do things that he didn't want to do with the jerky, stuff like that. So, Daddy got out of my way. I wanted to get out of his way, basically,
Nice.
and let him do what he needed to do. Because, I was there before. Yeah, I've been there. So.
Well, I do know this. So last year, 2023, I believe. So you said you had 18 in here?
At the most, probably 15. I don't know.
Yeah. And the tenure back then was a lot longer. You had some.
Well, I had
15,
solid.
I had some long.
I had a core of 6 people in here. Right. Had been in here for a long time.
So think about jumping from that to in 2023.
And that was starting to happen. What you're talking about, right. The turnover of workers.
Yep. And 2023. Between both locations we had, and that was our first year with the new market opening up in March. So between both locations, I think we had 120 W-2s. And that's an astronaut. And that's what I say by it's a different animal. And it forces you into places that you don't understand where you're going.
Yeah, I can see.
When it's fun to run the meat market.
That's not fun.
A meat market.
That's not fun.
It's not a meat market anymore. It's a people market.
Exactly.
It's people, and that's
the hardest part.
That's the hardest part.
Part.
And there's the hard thing about it is we know how to do all the meat stuff from you guys. Like you wrote the book on it, and we can follow it to the T.
That's the easy part.
We can mimic it, but there's no one to tell us. There's no one to tell us what to do with 50 people. Yeah. With 100 people.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of
logistics and
it's a lot of just trying. We're just trying, and we're just taking the best ideas we have.
Well, Bo, no doubt about it. He's a totally different owner from me as far as his skills, his leadership skills and all. But to take it where you're at now, I don't have those skills. Bo does. But there's no doubt in my mind Bo has the skills to be where you're at.
Well, and we're
totally different owners, totally different philosophies and all, but to be where you're at now,
right? He's
the right one. There's no doubt in my mind, no doubt. And you too. I mean, both of y'all complement each other.
Here's what I learned quickly here is that there's a lot that we don't have. Me and Bo work excellent in a team because we're so different. We are very, very different when it comes to how we analyze a problem.
Stuff or problems?
Just problem solving.
Okay, yeah.
We're very, very different. I'm a creative type.
Yeah.
I want to give you a bunch of crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Bo is going to take one and he's going to go, all right, if we go with that idea, what is step 1? If we can't complete step 1, then ditch the idea. But I'm the type where I give you the crazy idea and Bo says, okay, here's step 1. I'm going to give you 10 crazy ideas for step 1. And Bo's going to go, no, it's unreasonable. Pass.
He's
linear,
that's how kind of you need to be with new ideas. Yeah, and that's me.
So it's perfect. We really make a perfect team. But
you have great ideas, and he takes them and makes them analytical. Is what happens.
And he finishes them.
And
he can.
He's a finisher.
He can make the map of the idea.
Yeah, I love it.
There's so much we can't do, and we have hired for, and all the people that are special here now. They can all do things that we don't have a clue how to do, and it's scary and it's hard.
Yeah,
and I imagine that's where it's never been before, where it's a trust.
Yeah, because y'all got stuff going on. I understand because I was a control freak. Okay, I'm a type A, not type A, but I'm a control. I'm a control freak, I guess.
Right.
I'm a what you call that a control freak. I like to be in control, and if you're doing something like I know some of your workers do stuff that y'all I have an idea several of them who you're talking about, and I understand that. So my fear with that is, what do you do when they leave? If they leave, if they get pissed off, or whatever, things happen. Life
know
happens.
What I do?
That's what scares me.
I learn from them, just like I don't
because you got to teach the next person, and if you don't know it, how do you teach them?
Man, I've learned so much, from our hub crew, like our guys. You know who they are.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I've learned so much from those guys that a lot of that stuff is invaluable.
Yeah, Yeah, and I never had that issue because it's a big business now, man. You know,
Right.
It's the workers, like you said. It's the workers that made it a big business, and it's a lot to it. You know, all the insurances and insurance. You know, just it's a lot.
So, you're talking about popping at the seams earlier.
Mhm.
Here's a number you don't know about.
Okay.
So we go from Chick Bro buying some jerky and stuff, and that was in 1990-ish.
5-ish,
95-ish.
6, 7, I don't know, somewhere in the mid 90s.
So we're
4,
gonna
5, 6, 7.
fast forward to 2023,
Okay.
where we sold online only, just online orders, not through the door, not the thousands of pounds we donate to everywhere in Thibodaux.
Yeah.
Just online, we sold 6,500 pounds of beef jerky through the mail. Only online orders, not phone orders.
Yeah.
So can you really think about that? Like, think about you at 20 years old talking to Chick Bro.
20 pounds a week.
All right. Think about you talking to Chick Bro about making a little batch. And then that's where it is now.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you think about 20 years from now?
You know, honestly, I don't know if it can grow. I guess it can grow because of the internet. But locally, it can't grow a whole lot more because you only got so many people around here.
Okay.
And you get tired. You know, I mean, anything you eat, you get tired of eating it.
Sure.
You know, now you come back around to it maybe after a few years if you didn't buy any.
Right. The jerky's it's a luxury. It's a novelty item.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. Regardless of how good it is, anything in life. I mean, too much fun is not fun.
Yeah.
Same thing with food. You know, much as you like a good steak, you can't eat it every day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's really the only place to grow really with the jerky is there, you know, online.
We're doing these. We're gonna start hitting these, trade shows.
Yeah. I saw y'all been doing
Pretty hard, and we've only done really local Baton Rouge, New Orleans.
I know you did Mississippi. A couple of them.
I'm very interested in reaching out to Texas, like Houston, and maybe Arkansas and Florida, things like that.
So.
With the trade shows, just to get
Houston livestock.
Yeah, things like that.
2 whole weeks.
Sure, things like that. That we have no business not being there.
You better start making it now.
But seriously, those shows are super, super beneficial, and not just because of.
So the ones you've done, you get a lot of.
Oh man,
people coming
the
in
feedback
behind
we get is incredible, man.
Awesome.
And
we did a few early on. Yeah, we did a few.
The fun thing about it is that
they were fun. They were a lot of fun. You learn a lot too.
We go to these shows and we always walk around and we go see what they got.
Yeah.
And what they got, man, almost everywhere it's a half-assed product and your choice at a salesman. And with our stuff, you don't need to be a salesman.
No, you don't.
You hand them a piece of the stuff we make and you shut your mouth.
That's all
and
it
that's
takes.
It.
That's probably, honestly, Shane, when you asked me when I knew it was going to be a hit was the first New Orleans boat show we did.
And you see people that never seen you before and they taste it and their eyes light up.
Yeah,
or they
funny
turn
to watch.
around.
It is something to see. They grab it and they start walking away. They put it in their mouth. They take about 4 or 5 steps. And you've seen it. I know you've many times. They stop. Then they turn around. Then they look up at the sign, and their eyes start doing kind of sort of like a slot machine. You know, the slots when they spin, the eyes start kind of spinning.
Real.
It's something to see. And that's not just a few of them do that. Almost every one of them that have never tasted it do that.
I've started offering to pay people to try it. If they refuse to try it at the shows, some of the women will pass by and say, "Hey, you want to try some jerky?" But no, I don't like jerky. I say, "I'll give you $1 if you try it." All right, Joe, try it. If she don't like it, I give them $1. 90% of the time, she's gonna give me some money after because she's gonna buy a few packs.
I'll be dang, that's hilarious. But yeah, that's probably when I realized it was really special. It was and that's why they're fun. Is because, like I said, when people eat something good, they smile. It makes them happy, and that's where you really see it.
And you don't have to be you're not slick about it.
No,
you don't feel like you're selling.
No, you're not selling.
You feel like you're sharing.
Yeah, I'm the last salesman you ever want selling for you. I can promise you that. I'm not a salesman bone in my body.
But when you got something good, that's genuinely good, and you believe in it, you you get to share it with people. You don't have to push it, you know, and that, man, it feels good.
It does.
It's really awesome to have that.
Those trade shows, that's the beauty of those things. You really get to see the fruits of your benefit, the benefits of your fruits, works of labor and all, you know. So that's pretty cool.
So what did you think about a fifth generation?
It's going to be different then, probably too.
Yeah. What's it look like? Or what could it look like?
I have no idea, dude. You're asking me something I can't fathom.
But you'd want
a lot.
But you'd want it.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't see where it needs to change a lot, honestly. You know, I mean, when it comes to, the bottom line, the I guess the reason why you're in business, the one of the main reasons, is to make money. You know, you want to make a good living. And I mean, how much do you, as far as money wise, if you're going to do this, how much do you need? I think, you know, there's other reasons that people do what they do. You know, you got billionaires out there. I don't understand why they keep striving and pushing to make more money. Just me. I'm simple. You know, I'm simple Cajun, you know, I guess I just only need so much. I don't need to be a multi-millionaire, you know, but so it just depends on your wants and needs, I guess, you know.
Well, think about how many, I mean, we're sustaining quite a few families.
Yeah.
You know, very well.
I took that serious too. That's a serious thing. That is,
and that's something to be proud of, you know.
Yeah, I never was proud of it, but I took it very serious. I always made sure that they were paid first before I ever got paid, you know, because I mean, we had some first few years in here. It was, you know, it was a very small business. Me and John took over. I mean, Daddy's last year in business was he did about $220,000 in sales. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, do the math.
Yeah.
But in about 10 years' time, and probably because of the jerky, we did tenfold on that in 10 years. I was proud of that. And same four walls too, you know.
So what did that feel like?
I took a lot of pride in that, you know, but it was
was it a motivator hard to go harder, or was it we did it?
I just wanted to be successful, and I wanted Daddy to be proud of me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, granted, a few years when we shut down the Slaughterhouse and started doing jerky full time in there, I can remember Daddy coming in. When you take it out in the afternoon, we take it out in the back, you know, take it off the sticks. Daddy would look at that, and he was retired, you know. He'd just shake his head. I'm like, "What, Daddy?" And he'd say, "Man, I just can't believe y'all sell that much of that burnt meat." And he'd walk away.
That's so good.
I can't believe y'all sell that much of that. That's what he called it.
They should put y'all in jail.
Yeah,
that's what he said a lot.
Yeah, he'd probably say that too. But yeah, he probably wished he wouldn't have told. He wished he'd have started making it earlier. Probably. maybe not. I don't. I think he was done. You know, when he got out, he was ready. He didn't need any more. And he was like me. You know, he kind of simple, like do a little fishing and, you know, simple life. Don't need a whole lot.
We've probably got hours upon hours we can talk about different topics, and probably next time we'll go into more of the sportsman side of things. That you know, I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
And
that's a good idea.
I've learned a lot from you, you know, since I was a kid, and that'd be a great next topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
For next time.
Yeah.
But let's say, to close off this, if there's some family businesses out there that are in the second generation, what should be going through their heads, whether it's the departing generation or the taking over generation?
Well, the departing needs to make darn sure that the next generation is not doing it for the money. They got to love what they're doing. I don't care if you're a janitor or a bus driver, whatever it is. If you don't love what you do, you're not going to be successful at it. I'm convinced. If you're just doing it for a paycheck and a job, it's not going to make the next generation. Yeah, and that's the problem with generational businesses a lot of times. So the first generation, they love it, they work hard at it, and they build it, okay? Then what happens on the next generation, they just don't love it, and they just milk it kind of. They're there, and they're doing it for the money. Mm-hmm. And then by the time it gets to that third generation, they haven't learned to love it from their parents. So, and that's not always the case, but a lot of times I think if you research it, I would be surprised if it's any other way. But I think that's one of the issues is they're kind of milking it for the money. You know, if you don't love what you do, find something else to do. That's my best advice. And be straight up with your kid. If you got a kid coming into your business, and let them know, Yeah, if you're successful, you have, making good money. Yeah, that's good and that's wonderful. But if you do it for that, I'm convinced that most businesses just ain't going to make it. And they may make it, but it won't thrive. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to get. So I kind of started making a list of future interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I got a big list. I probably have 45 people on this list.
Oh, that's awesome. Good.
And it's all people that I really think would be interested in it. I think they would say yes.
Yeah.
It's all people I'm very interested in hearing from.
Mm-hmm.
It's all people that I really believe they love what they do. Whatever their thing is, I think they love what they do.
I love that. Yeah.
And the most important part is they're all customers.
Oh, cool.
So I think that'll be really cool, is to kind of keep this as a thing. All of these people, general public might not realize that they are our customers, that whether they're a regular customer, they're a once a year, we know them, we have a relationship with them because of this place. And and that's kind of why we, that's the miracles in meat, and that's what it is. And I heard a quote from, I think a guy came in here after Papa passed, and I was at the register, and he said, sorry to hear about your Papa. He said, that man, that man can make a friend with a rattlesnake. And I never forgot about that, but
a friend with a rattlesnake.
It's true.
That says a lot about a person.
It's really true.
Yeah. And that's how a lot of people like that.
It's how he treated people. You watch him interact with customers at the counter, and I'll watch you do the same. And
it's this place, because you're interacting with people. People don't interact with people anymore. I mean, even like when you go to Walmart, you got a machine. You don't even have a checkout person, or a lot of these big box stores. I think that's important, that interaction. I think, hopefully we come full circle with that at some point, and it comes back around where you have someone to talk to when you check out somewhere,
Yeah, it's fun, man. And I truly believe that.
Yeah, Daddy liked conversation. He liked, and that older generation, man. That's all they had. Think about
storytelling, man.
Storytelling. They didn't have radios hardly when not until probably he was teenager, maybe a little before that. They probably maybe as a young kid they might have had radio, and I don't know if he had it. Mm-hmm. But their first saw. I don't know if you knew that. Their first saw. They'd take their Model T, and they'd jack it up, take the wheel off, and they put a belt on it, and hook it to the saw. Mm-hmm. That's what they use, a Model T to run the saw. So that was their first electric or whatever, or powered saw, I guess you could say. Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day, I kind of forgot that. I thought that was interesting. But look, Daddy slaughtered on people don't realize how far we've come with slaughtering and just meat and sanitation, I guess. I mean, they were slaughtering on dirt floors until probably mid-50s. And whenever he built this place, I think mid-50s, early 50s. Mm-hmm. Before that, they were back there still slaughtering on dirt floors and throwing a bunch of sawdust down. And I'm sure there were still some places doing it after he quit,
Yeah.
But so that's, 75 years ago? I mean, yeah, for young people, that's a long time. But for me, I mean, I was maybe 10, 15 years from that. Mm-hmm. When I came into remembering and actually helping.
It sucks that our previous generations, they did what they had to do, and it seems like it's getting to where we do what we're allowed to do.
Well, yeah, it's getting more and more of that.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah, I mean, laws. It's a shame they never. I wish every time they made a law, it had to be revisited every 10 years, revoted on. Okay, because you're just getting more and more laws. Right. And if it's not revisited, it comes off the books. That's how it should be. Because otherwise, I mean, even now, you got laws everywhere. Everything is governed, and laws. In fact, there's so many of them. Half of them aren't even enforced probably anymore.
So, the customer interactions on the counter, and the storytelling, and the checking in, and the asking, what you cooking, the little things like that.
Yeah.
I believe that's why you loved what you did, is because there is that aspect. Whereas if you have a company and you're behind a computer and you're only interested in the sale number.
Yeah, that would not interest me at all.
You don't get that. You don't get that personal connection with anyone.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing here.
Right,
waiting on customers.
Yeah,
by far the thing I loved most was waiting on a customer and having to cut meat for them. I loved cutting meat on a saw, whatever, steaks. Get them ground. I loved waiting on people, but I loved waiting on a period. But when I had to cut something, I liked to try and make it pretty as I could, and do a really good job. That perfectionist in me, when it came to that, would really come out.
Right. You get to put the little spin on it. You
Yeah.
get to put your stamp.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
personal,
Yep.
this is how I do it.
Yep.
And
People appreciate it too.
they do. And
They realize it. You don't have to tell them. They
it's
realize
really
it. They
cool,
see
man.
it. Yeah, they see it.
I love interacting with the kids. I like grabbing a kid and asking them if they want to go check out the cooler, or go look at the smoker and stuff like that.
That's
Sometimes I give them a fresh green onion to chew on, and they'll just grab it and eat it.
So you don't do it like that. You don't do like Daddy does then, huh?
Wrap them up in a cowhide?
No, not a hide, the whole cow.
No.
Yeah, he'd taken a
Haven't
kid
done
one
that
day.
one yet.
Yeah, but he had come in, he was aggravating them pretty regular, I think, and he just got enough of him. And before they split the animal, they had just finished skinning it. Him and Clea, they took him, put him inside the cavity of the animal, and they closed the ribs up on him. Wouldn't let him out. Freshly killed. There's not a lot of blood, thank goodness, but I'm sure it was wet and sticky, and
You learned a good lesson that day.
smelled just like a dead cow coming out of there.
Learned a good lesson.
I don't know if he ever came back.
Nope.
I was probably a kid when they did that. They had some stories, them too. Oh my goodness.
Well, all right. That's an awesome few hours we hit, and we got many more. So we'll do.
Yeah, this was fun. Shane. I enjoyed it.
We'll do some
I got
more.
plenty more stories. Yeah, we just touched the surface of some of the stuff.
I'd love to get some of the siblings.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun. Because like I said, their memories are going to be different from mine. They're going to remember different stuff.
Yeah.
John's going to have different memories of stuff with Super Kite and all.
Yeah. And this is something that I wish.
Before I leave, I just want to remind you, 30 foot. That's my
30 foot.
advice. Take it or leave it.
No more, no less. Yeah. I'd like to say we've been doing this for 10 years by now, because that's probably how long we've been thinking about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
the podcast?
We've got hours of conversation, good conversation recorded in the office. Just, maybe me, Bo, Phil, Brody.
Cool.
We do this often, man. We go down these deep conversations, and I've always said,
I want some of that.
I've always said, man, if some of these startups or even, whatever, 50-year businesses, if they could hear some of these conversations, who knows? Yeah. Who knows what little kick it might give them? Yeah, and I really believe in that. So that's what this is for. It's for anyone, and it's also for us to just put on our bookshelf, for the kids, for the grandkids
and all. Yep.
You don't get to pick people's brain after they're gone, but
it's true.
This is the least we can do. And
they'll enjoy this one day, hopefully.
I think it can make someone happy.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
All righty, brother.
Thank you so much.
All right, Shane.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Miracles of Meat podcast. We ask that you share it with at least one person in your life that you think needs to hear it. If you got a little something from it, you got some little goose pimples, or it just gave you some feel goods, send it to someone else. Let them feel that too. And if you loved it, please leave us a 5-star review. That'll really help out. And if you only loved it like 4 stars worth of, please do not leave a review. Same thing with the 1 through 3. Not interested in any of those, only 5 stars. If you have any personal questions or comments about the episode, shoot them over to Bourgeois Meat Market on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll reach back out. And if you have any ideas for any cool future guests, please shoot those over too. We're always interested in hearing who else is out there and what kind of cool stories we might be able to bring into this place. See you next time. Thanks for listening.